guys, Preston here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the NFC North draft, and I'm going to break it down. It's another draft grades video. The last time was a little long, so in order to keep it shorter, I am not going to give letter grades individually for each one. I may mention the CBS one, but more likely I'm going to say if I liked the pick, if I didn't, reach, etc. So like I said earlier, this time we're doing the NFC North. Sorry it's been so long, by the way. I'm pretty busy, but now I got a little bit of time and I might film a couple in a row and go from there. Alright, so we're going to start with the Bears because we're going alphabetically in the NFC North like we will with all the divisions. So the Bears did not have a lot of picks this year. Their first pick wasn't until the third round due to the Khalil Mack trade. But either way, so their first pick, third round, 73 overall, they picked David Montgomery, the running back out of Iowa State. I mean, it wasn't a bad pick. I like the pick. I mean, I'm a guy who kind of thought Jordan Howard was doing fine and getting rid of him wasn't. I didn't see why they needed to do it, but the reality is they did. So they needed another guy, another running back to pair alongside Tariq Cohen. Because while I think Tariq's good, I don't know if he could be a feature back. Or even if he can, he still, I think a tandem's nice. It's what they've had before. So David Montgomery was probably one of the, I'd say maybe the best running back available at that time. And he was solid for a while. He was projected to be the top running back in the draft class. That went to the Alabama running back. I think it's Josh Jacobs, which we'll talk about when we get to the AFC West. But either way, yeah, not a bad pick. CBS Sports gave it a B-. I think, yeah, all right. I liked it. As a filled a need that they made, but it was still a need nonetheless. That's to say the least. Sorry. Now, Riley Ridley was their next pick, fourth round, 126 overall, the wide receiver out of Georgia. It was all right. I mean, they put money in free agency last year in the receiver position, obviously. I still think more help there is, I mean, it helps. Why not, right? Their offense was clearly the weaker part of their team last year based off the numbers their defense put up. So it makes sense to me. They gave it a C+. Maybe it's just because he wasn't like the top guy there, and there's probably other people there. And there's... like I said, I don't think wide receiver was their top need based off the people they already have. But I mean, whatever. Get some depth in. It's not a horrible pick for the fourth round. In the fifth round, they got Duke Shelley. Sorry, did I say fifth? I meant sixth. Apparently, they have a fifth round pick either. Duke Shelley, cornerback out of Kansas State. He's a slot guy, and he can play on the outside. He's a versatile corner. It's a good depth to have. I know they lost a nickel corner. I'm sorry I forgot his name. Bears fans, you'll know him, in the offseason. So they drafted some corners late. I'm sure they'll help a little bit, you know. So he has, I mean, it's a sixth round pick. So there's not, I mean, if he works out, that's a great move, right? But it's not like they work out all the time. So we'll have to see how it goes. And then we have, what is it? Sorry. Yeah, so they gave an A-. That's a good pick. I'd say it is a good pick, too. Kenneth White Jr., running back out of FAU. I don't get this one. I guess, I mean, there's plenty of teams who keep 3 running backs on the roster, so I guess if they just wanted a younger running back tandem again, keep it young, it works out. It is a 7th round pick, so there's really no harm done. They gave it an A-. I feel like they could have went elsewhere, but it's not like a horrible pick or anything. So I guess, sorry, I'm reading this for a second. It's just depth. He's quick, is what I believe. He wasn't the main back at Florida Atlantic. That goes to Devin Singletary, obviously, who I believe is drafted by Buffalo. We'll talk about him in that AFC East video, obviously. And then their last pick, their second 7th round pick and final pick of the draft. They didn't have a lot of picks this year, and they went with Stephen Denmark, corner out of, I think it's Valdosta State, is what I believe. That's a D2 school. They won the Natty last year, or this past season, yeah. So it's a good prospect, man, and obviously it's the 7th round, so they're not always going to land. So it makes sense to go for someone that, you know, has potential. I'm reading what they have to say about him real quick. Yeah, he's going to need development, but it's not a bad project. He's built well for a 7th round, 6'4", 220. I mean, that's some. Once you get that late in the rounds, it's kind of good to look at those measurables and see what will pan out for you. So yeah, not a bad pick at all. I liked it for a 7th round pick. So overall, the Bears did a decent job. I really don't think they'll win the draft just based off the lack of picks and the amount of impact these picks will really have on their team. as I'm guessing a lot of them won't make a huge dent. If anyone, it'll be Montgomery. Maybe Ridley will chip in a little bit. I'm forgetting who the Bears receiving core in general is. I know Taylor Gabriel's there. That's pretty much it. So sorry for that too, but I mean, it's a little better. I think their quarterback's the problem. Let's be honest, man. They screwed up there. Looking back at that draft, was it 2017? I mentioned that I didn't think Trubisky would be the best quarterback in that draft class. Obviously, I was wrong on Mahomes, as I think a lot of people were. But, I mean, Watson and Mahomes have looked really good, and Trubisky's been very mediocre, to say the least. You know, typical Bears quarterback play right there. I don't know if it's the team that's cursed. I mean, we still got to give him some time. This will be a second year under Ryan Pace, and if he can't really turn it around this year, I don't know. I think there'll be a case where it's like maybe it's a Jameis Winston situation where they put a high investment on this pick, so they'll keep him around for a while, and eventually they'll realize they need to move on, and they will. You know. So next team, I'm gonna pause it for a second so I can pull up the next team. But yeah, overall the Bears did a good job for what they had, a lot of depth. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna change anything about this team. It won't impact them in any major way, but solid draft working with what they got. Alright, we're back. Sorry, it took me a while to get the freaking page pulled up. Next up's the Detroit Lions. They had plenty of picks, I think. They didn't have any doubles of anything. They had 2 7ths and 2 6ths, so they had a bit more picks than usual, but they were late ones, and they didn't really use them to trade up or anything. So we'll start, obviously, with the first pick. First pick, 8th overall. They were top 10 pick yet again. They went with tight end TJ Hawkinson out of Iowa. CBS Sports gave it a B-. I would say it's not bad. I mean, it makes sense. They really need, I think pass rush would have been another potential way they could have went, concerning the fact that they're letting Anza walk. They did sign Trey Flowers, though, so I guess the tight end need was a bit more necessary, I guess. They threw $25 million at Jesse James, the tight end from Pittsburgh, you know, a team I like. And I think Jesse James was pretty good. He could have been a decent plug for now while you drafted a crazy good pass rusher or something, but they felt that Hawkinson had enough talent to be drafted. So yet again, I mean, Jesse James will be a backup tight end who's making $25 million over 4 years, I think, which, I mean, that's not bad money, man. Good for him, right? But yeah, so Hawkinson, I think a lot of potential. I think it was their top need? No. But, I mean, it makes sense, especially after seeing Eric Ebron not perform at all with Detroit, just to be traded to Indy and make the Pro Bowl. That's got to hurt a little bit. So now they're hoping they can get their own elite tight end with TJ Hawkinson. I think he has potential, and I think he'll do pretty well in Detroit. Overall, not a bad pick. Next up is Jalari Taval. I don't know. I've butchered the name. He's a linebacker from Hawaii, and he's definitely not, mainland United States born. I believe he's either Hawaiian born or somewhere in that, Samoan, something like that. But either way, he's a solid linebacker from Hawaii. I'm gonna be honest, I did not watch a lot of Hawaii game tape, as most people don't, because they play at ridiculous times and they're not usually televised. But it seems like CBS Sports liked him to give him a B+. I personally think there's probably better linebackers on the board at the time, but if he works out, it's going to be good. I guess they keep drafting a lot of linebackers. I don't know if they drafted a linebacker out of Florida a year or two ago. I'm not sure if he's just not panning out or if they just need more. But either way, they seem to like it, so I'm sure it's a decent pick. I'm going to say it's a decent pick. Then they went Will Harris, safety out of Boston College with their 3rd-round pick, 81 overall. He's a good safety, man. That's all they really need to say about it. They needed to get more athletic back there, and he's a solid safety. Boston College had a pretty good secondary this season. And B- from CBS Sports, I'd say, yeah, it's a good pick. I mean, I think it's a good pick, too. I mean, safety, I think they got at least one solid safety, but depth never hurts, and getting someone to pair back there isn't bad either. I think it's Glover Quinn. Is that the safety? I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I don't follow every team that heavy, man. Next up is in their fourth pick in the 4th round. Their 4th-round pick, which is their 4th pick overall in the draft. They went with Austin Bryant, an edge rusher from Clemson. Obviously, I'd assume he's the least known defender from Clemson, as most of them went in the main defense. His other defensive lineman partners all went in the 1st round. So obviously, they didn't view him as good, but there's a lot of sorry, why am I starting to? They speculate that maybe he got a lot of help from just how good the other guys were. That he had some open stuff, some open looks and stuff during the season. They gave it a C, but I'm like, I don't know. Maybe there was better pass rushers available, but to me, looking back now, it's a pass rusher. It's something they kind of need now, based off the people that have left, even with Flowers. I think it's a solid addition, so I'd say it's a pretty good pick. Then in the 5th round, they went with Amani Oluwari. Wow, Detroit's really going for the hardest names to pronounce team this year. But yeah, he's a corner out of Penn State. I'd say it's a solid pick. You can never go wrong with the corner depth, and outside of Slay, it's always, they're not that. It's not that solid of a cornerback group, so adding a guy has some potential, some good upside. Not a bad move. CBS giving it A-. Yeah, it's a good pick. Then they went with Ty Johnson. They went with Travis Fulgham, wide receiver from Old Dominion. It seems like they liked him for a 6th-round pick. Not bad, right? Receivers sort of a need to me, I guess. Obviously Golden Tate's gone, but they're relying on the guys they've had already. They've always had a decent receiving core. They've all looked pretty good, so adding some depth there is never a bad idea, especially in the 6th round. That's a good pick. Then in the 7th round, I'm going to just name them both in a row. They went Isaac Nauta, tight end, and P.J. Johnson, defensive line. So it looks like they're completely revamping their tight end core, and it will be T.J. Hawkinson, Jesse James, and Isaac Nauta as the 3 they have. Nauta, I remember originally was shown to be drafted earlier in a lot of those early on mock drafts. It seems like they just went for depth again, and it's a decent pick, right? Finish up that tight end roster, I guess. Just get the guys you want. Then obviously the new coach, Patricia, it's not his first year, but it's his 2nd year. So just get the tight ends he want, And they're all young now. They have a really young tight end core now, it's never bad to have youth at a position. Apparently he had a poor pre-draft process, which probably hurt himself a little bit, but he has potential, and for a 7th round pick, it doesn't hurt to get depth. A guy who'll probably end up sticking on your roster isn't bad to move. Then you have P.J. Johnson, defensive lineman out of Arizona. He apparently is just a big defensive lineman, and once again, D-line help is pretty good for them, so getting a depth guy who may or may not land on the roster wasn't a bad move. They gave it a B, and yeah, it's a solid pick. Alright, next up will be Green Bay. Anyways, we're back now, so we have Green Bay pulled up. They had 2 first-round picks this time, which is never a bad thing. They traded up for him, I believe, is what happened. Either way, their first pick they used was Rashawn Gary, defensive lineman out of Michigan. I didn't like this pick. I just didn't. I'm going to be honest. I think he is more likely to be a bust than he is to be a star. He seriously lacked in production at Michigan. His fellow teammate, his old teammate on the edge, Chase Winovich, performed a lot better in actual game time situations than Rashawn Gary. Gary's an athlete. He's very athletic. He's built for it. He's got the measurements to be a good defensive lineman. And with proper coaching, he has potential. But to me, he didn't learn that great in Michigan, and he's just not that good numbers wise. He's built, but he's not that good. So they gave it a C. I'd agree with that. It's kind of just, is it an okay pick? He has potential, but he also has plenty of potential to fail. I think there's some more safer options they could have gone with at that pick. So, not their best pick, but it's okay because with their other first-round pick, they went with Darnell Savage Jr., safety from Maryland, and I'd say they needed safety help. They've lost Clinton Dix and Morgan Burnett are both gone from Green Bay now, which they both left differently. They signed Adrian Amos, which is a good safety too. I think to play safety, which will help. But he's more of a hard hitter. Sorry, one sec. Yeah, it's Savage. So he's, from what they're saying, he's more of a quick guy, which means he can cover more of the floor. So you have the hard-hitting safety, and then you got Darnell Savage to pair with him. You have a new safety group, a new young safety group with a lot of upside. Savage, they give him a B. I'd say it's a good pick. I agree, it's a good pick. They needed safety. They got a safety. Can't go wrong there. Obviously, every pick has potential to bust, but I really think that Gary will probably, I feel like I'm more confident with Savage than I am with Rashawn Gary. Then they went with Elgton, something like that, Jenkins, the offensive lineman from Mississippi State. I believe did he play center in college? Either way, he was a solid offensive lineman. So, yeah, he's right there. They're saying he's athletic. He's pretty good. He's a solid player. Good pickup For the Packers, I'm not sure of their offensive lineman situation, so I don't know if he'll start or if he'll be depth. But either way, it's a solid offensive lineman, high value in that second round. So they give it a B. I'd say it's a good pick, yeah. Then they went with, sorry, I went past it, Jace Sternberger, tight end from Texas A&M. He only had 1 year of productivity, which, you know, there's always some questions there. But, I mean, it's a tight end. I don't currently know what their tight end situation looks like, so I guess in picking one up won't hurt. They went with him fairly early, a third-round pick. He has potential to be a starter on that team, or at least the backup to the starting tight end on that team. I think it's a solid pick. They give it a PS. It's a good pick, position in need. You know, not bad. Then they went back to back with Texas A&M, getting Kingsley Keke, defensive lineman from Texas A&M, in the 5th round. Obviously, I believe they traded away their 4th round pick in order to get that other 1st round pick or something like that. It seems. Either way, he's sorry, I'm ready what they think about him. It's just a depth piece. I mean, in free agency, they signed a lot of guys on defense. They have a lot more talent when it comes to pass rushing and stuff now. So it wasn't the most necessary pick, but it's the 5th round. You just hope he can stick, be a reliever kind of deal, you know, sub in every now and then. So I'll have to see how he turns out. Overall, it's not a great pick. It's just a decent pick. Not too bad. Then we have Kadar Holman, cornerback from Toledo. They gave him a C. They said he's just an average corner. I mean, he was from Toledo, not a big school, so there's always question marks with the small school corners because they're not always covering the best talent or facing the best quarterbacks. But either way, he has potential. He's a 6th round pick. It never hurts to get another corner. Obviously, they put a lot of capital in the corner last year's draft, getting Jair Alexander and is it Desmond Jackson or something? The Iowa corner. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting his name. He was good. I liked him too. But either way, not a bad pick. Just meh. Then the pick I like the most from them, because I'm a Notre Dame fan, in this 6th round they got Dexter Williams, running back out of Notre Dame. I think Williams was good. He has a lot of potential. He missed some time last season. I think he might have been due to suspension, so there's maybe some questions there. But he wasn't used a lot, which means the carry numbers, well, he's still got a lot of potential left. You know, it's not like he got wore out in college, which can happen, which shortens running back careers. So he's a lot of potential. For a 6th round pick, it's not bad, especially considering the fact that the Packers running back core is not that solid. Might as well throw another name in the mix, see who lands. Then their last pick in the 7th round, I went with Ty Summers, linebacker, LSU. Not bad. He has potential. I think that LSU defense, for a Big 12 defense, was a little underrated. Sorry, we saw. There's been a couple. I mean, they had the 1st round edge rusher, and then they've had some decent draft picks. There's been a lot of TCU defenders drafted. Either way, Summers was pretty good. He's fast, obviously, which helps. But, you know, this is a linebacker at the 7th round. By the 7th round, it doesn't really matter too much. He might be a practice squad guy. I might land on the roster. Either way, decent pickup. It's never bad to get more linebackers. They give it a B+. I say, yeah, not bad. All right, just one team left. Then I'll give you my winner overall of the NFC North and my loser overall. Be back in a second. Actually, before I pull up the Vikings picks, just let me know what you think about Rashawn Gary. That's what I think that should be one of the bigger talking points in this video, because I think it's been a lot of hit and miss on Gary. Some people love him, some people are men, some people just don't think he'll work out. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. All right, now we'll get started with the Vikings picks once I get them pulled up. All right, we're back. Sorry, the thing I was using bugged out too much. Now I'm just on Wikipedia for the picks, so I won't be able to give you CBS's grade. I'll just be able to talk about it and say how I feel about about each selection. So the first pick that they used was, Garrett Bradbury, center of NC State. I think this was a very solid pick. They needed offensive lineman help, and they picked one of the better offensive linemen in the draft. That's a very solid pick. I liked it a lot. Their next pick, they went with Irv Smith Jr., tight end out of Alabama. I did not think they needed to, obviously, because they had Kyle Rudolph, and now it looks like he might become trade bait, and they're either trying to get younger or just save money at that position. So if you're looking at it that way, I guess it works out, especially if you think of their other tight end gone already, then it works out great. If Rudolph is gone, and Irv Smith's solid. So not a bad pick at all. I like that pick. Then they went with Alexander Madison, a running back from Boise State. I guess it's not bad. I think there was probably better running backs available in that third round, but running backs, I don't know how badly needed. I think as a depth piece, solid pickup for the Vikings. Not too bad. And then they went with Drew Samia, guard from Oklahoma. Yet another offensive lineman pickup. I don't think he'd probably start right away, but it's another guy just to get with the team and get as many bodies in that offensive line room as possible and see what sticks. They need help there. Why not go all out? Then they went with Cameron Smith, linebacker from USC. No, USC picks didn't start getting picked to the 4th and 5th round, but he's not a bad linebacker at all, and linebacker help is not a bad thing at all. I think it's a solid depth piece for them, and solid pick yet again. Vikings, to me, I think they had a really good draft. Yeah, all right, we'll keep going. Then they went with they had 3 picks in the 6th round, and they ended up with Armon Watts, defensive tackle from Arkansas, Marcus Epps, safety from Wyoming, and Oli Udu, offensive tackle from Elon. So 2 defenders there, defensive tackle and safety. I mean, the defense has been solid, but it's always good just to get younger, get some pieces back there. It's the 6th round, right? So not all of them will make the roster, but it's not a bad pickup at all just to get some guys back there. I think they're both solid picks. Maybe they weren't the best players, but if you think about it, they're 6th rounders, so I don't know what you really want from them. Solid overall selection, especially that Wyoming defense is pretty underrated. Obviously, Wyoming flies under the radar, but they had a pretty solid defense this year. And Oli Odu is definitely a project coming out of Elon, but he has the build for a good offensive lineman. He has a lot of potential, and yet again, they need offensive lineman help, so why not just throw another person in the mix? They went with, they had 4 7th-round picks. I believe 2 of them were compensatory, same with 1 of the 3rds. But those guys, I'll just go through them all real quick and then go break them down. So all the 7th-round picks. Sorry, I have to look at this screen to be able to read who they are. They were... Chris Boyd, corner from Texas. I liked Boyd. I think there's certain times where he's projected to go higher than this, but so it's a pretty solid pickup. Another depth piece. They already have some solid corners, but why not just get another guy there, a young guy, mix it up. Good pick. Then they went Dylan Mitchell, wide receiver from Oregon. I liked it. Mitchell, I think he's a speed guy. Just a solid kind of depth guy. See where he lands on that in the 7th round. Obviously, they're pretty set at receiver with Diggs, and I feel bad that his name is slipping my mind. I'm sorry. What is his stinking name? One second. Adam Thielen. But yeah, the other guy, the 3rd guy, Laquan Treadwell, he was a 1st-round pick a couple years ago, and he is not panning out at all. So just getting some receivers in the mix to see who lands and becomes that new 3rd guy is pretty smart by them. They went Dylan Mitchell the first time, and then they went Olabisi Johnson, wide receiver from Colorado State. Right after that, they're 2 7th-round picks. So to me, yeah, it makes sense, man. The Laquan Treadwell did not pan out, and there's really a good chance, which is kind of sad that their first round pick from that time would not be as good as these 2 7th-round guys. So you're gonna hope either by committee that those 2 can replace Treadwell, or if one of them stands out and becomes that new 3rd guy. But they needed some depth in that receiver beyond the top 2 of Thielen and Diggs. Get some guys in there, get some young blood. Really like those picks. And then their final pick, which is the questionable one, was Austin Cutting, long snapper from Air Force. I remember Pittsburgh, I gave him crap, and a lot of people gave him crap. I think it was last year's draft for getting the long snapper in the 6th round. At least it was the the bottom of the 7th. It was a compensatory pick in the 7th, which was towards the bottom, right? But either way, I think they could have waited just to sign him as an undrafted free agent. But once you're that late, it doesn't really matter too much. They figured might as well lock him up now instead of having to compete with anyone to sign him. So it's a meh pick, not bad. But overall, the Vikings had a really solid draft to the point where I'm gonna say they're my favorite. They had the best draft class in the NFC North, hands down. I'm sorry if anyone disagrees. And the worst one, which it wasn't that bad. I think everyone had a pretty solid class. I think the worst 1st-round pick I saw was Gary. I really don't think he'll turn out that well. But the worst class will have to be the Bears, simply because the lack of picks they had and the fact their first pick was in the 3rd round means there won't be a lot of impact. Less likely to have a lot of impact on that team. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, who you think won the draft in the NFC North and who lost. If I had to rank them all, I'd go Vikings, Lions, Packers, Bears. But they're all pretty solid, and Bears pretty much lose by default just because of the lack of picks they had. Either way, guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next draft grades video, and let me know what other videos you want to talk about. You want me to talk about what other topics? Sorry, I'm just losing it today. Either way, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe for more. Stay tuned for more videos. This is K-May Preston signing out. See you guys later.